Okay, so this is episode 4 of how to use a lathe. This is going to be about your overall setup of your machine, how you're going to want to set it up, and depending on how you want to use it. And it also is going to be about operating, so this is going to be the whole overview of how you work the machine, and just a few different little tidbits in there. This is actually the second time filming this video, because the first time it's not working right now. The technical difficulties have defeated me. So let's just see what happens. Okay, so before we get into the video, I just want to make sure to say that if you guys take 5 seconds, click the like button, maybe go comment that you enjoyed the video. I would really appreciate that. That helps me to be able to see that you guys are actually enjoying these videos and watching them. So I appreciate the support. Let's get into it. Okay, so first up is going to be how you want to set up your machine, and this is kind of a confusing thing. It was for me, because how do you know how high you want it, how low you want it, and where you want it at? And there really isn't any information out there that really tells you how you want to have it set up. So this is how I have mine set up. I have mine at my waist level, maybe just a little below, and that allows me to be where I want to be and be able to see over my workpiece, to be able to have full control of the machine, to be able to feel like I'm the one controlling it. It's not controlling me, so I feel a lot safer versus if you're high, you're kind of struggling turning the wheels and different things like that, and it can just make it to where you can't really see what you're doing. So you want to be able to see your workpiece, and you want to be able to fully use all of the parts. So that's how I have mine set up, and obviously if you want to stand up, I stand, that's how you want to have it set up, but when you sit down it's going to have to be lower, unless you get really high stool. So my opinion with sitting down is it's a little bit more dangerous, especially if you have a bigger machine, but it can also just be your personal preference. If you just prefer sitting down because it's more comfortable, better for your back, then that can be that, but generally people slouch when they sit down. So I say standing up is the way to go. It's safer and it's just more simple. So just figure out where you want it to be when you're setting up your table, work on it then, versus dealing with it and then having your machine be not where you want it for a really long time. Now that's just a long-winded explanation. So now we're gonna go to operating. Okay, so I'm just gonna try and start from right to left and then work our way across, and maybe throw in some technical terms as we go. So right here is the tailstock. This is what you're going to be using to have your drill chuck in it, your live center, and a few other different tools, accessories that can go in this. Generally, this is how a lot of them work. Right here is going to be your handle to be able to tighten this mechanism. So now I can't turn this wheel at all, and then you can tighten it or loosen it. So now it's loosened, now I can turn it, and then now mine right here tightens using this nut here. So right now I can slide it, and then when I tighten it like this, now I can't slide it, and that's what you want to do if you're drilling or using your live center. You want to make sure it's tight. You don't really have to slam down on the nut, but if it's sliding when you're drilling something that's a little harder, then you want to tighten it more. But yeah, so generally with this as well, also sometimes the tailstock has a handle on the other side here that does tighten it, but most of them just has this because it's a little bit easier to get to. Anyway, so now with your tailstock and using, let's say, the drill chuck, you want your, I'm not really sure what this piece right here is called. You can come around here and see. I'm not really sure what this piece is specifically called, but you want this far out enough where the Morse taper can go in. So now I'm not going to try and shove it in right yet, but watch. If I just undo it like this, now that won't go in. So it's too far. It's not far out enough. So if I just go and I bring it out enough, now that is in there, very tight, and I can't get it out. And now when I want to get it out, all I have to do is bring it in, and then it pops out. Now that can be a little tricky to get used to in the beginning, but once you get used to it, it's pretty simple, straightforward, and then you'll just get the hang of it. So now we're going to move on, and I'm just going to say right here, the technical term for these, this is what the tailstock rides on, this is what the carriage rides on. This is called the ways. So you just want to take care of these. If you live in a really humid area and you have an outside shop, oil them, keep them oiled, keep them clean, and then that's pretty much it for that. You know, just make sure there really aren't any chips on your ways. You want to usually just clear those off, and generally what I just do is I just take this paintbrush. It used to look like a normal paintbrush, it doesn't anymore, and you just sweep it off, put it back. You don't have to be super picky with it, but if there's some big chips on there, you just wipe it off. Pretty easy. And then also this right here, this is called the lead screw. This is what the auto feed rides on. So you engage the half nut, and the half nut acts like a clamp. It opens like this. When it's like that, it's opened, and then around the lead screw, when you lock that, it goes and engages with the threads, and then it slides back and forth depending if you have it on forwards or reverse. And then when you want it to stop, you disengage it, and then it disengages. And then this right here, like I said, is called the carriage. This is what you're going to be using most of the time. When you want, and I'm not going to be using any fancy words with these, but if you want to use the front and back motion, this is the handle you use. And then when you want to use the left and right motion, you use this handle. This is usually the handle people use when they have auto feed. This is usually the handle people use to move it all the way back or all the way front to get more room to be able to use or get metal out of the chuck here. So that's usually what people use, and then when they want to actually cut, they engage the auto feed and then let the machine do it. Now generally your auto feed can get a little stuck, like right now, it's not really engaging. So what I do is I go down, and then I go and I push back with this lever, and then that engages it. And that doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes there's just areas that get a little stuck. Sometimes that's because your half nut is gunked up, or it's not engaging with the threads properly. So you just do that, rotate it back, and then let it go in. And then now we will move on to the chuck. This is the chuck, like I said multiple times. This is what you use to hold your material. So this is just a 3-jaw chuck. That, like I said in one of the other videos, is a 4-jaw, there's collet, there's 6-jaw. All those are very good tools to have, but they're not necessary. 3-jaw chuck is usually what people get. And then if you need more room, 4-jaw chucks are really good for that, and a bigger 3-jaw is also good. So now we'll move. Oh, no. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use some aluminum. I think I already went over where I get my aluminum from in another video. And then you just take your chuck key, open that up, you slide it through. My bore is a 1-inch bore, so the 1-inch bar fits perfectly in here. Then you go and you make sure that your stick out of your metal is not too much, but also not too little, because if it's like this, then you're going to have a wobbly piece of metal. But if it's like this, then you're going to be dangerously getting close to your jaws, and you're going to nick your jaws. This is what the jaws are, these 3. You're going to nick these. That's just how it's going to happen, but you want to generally just stay away from that. So you want to have just a nice medium stick out here. And then when you tighten down, you don't want to go too crazy, because you got to undo it. Like that was probably too much, but then you just want to do enough where it's not going to slip. So now I'm going to bring my carriage up. I'm going to grab my tool here. I'm going to pop that in my tool holder. I'm going to bring it up. Now you see my piece right here, and you see my tool. I'm just going to bring it up like this. We're just going to be generally close to the piece of metal. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and then I am going to show you the auto feed and just how you work the overall machine. I'm going to take one cut, and then I'm going to zoom out with the camera, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Alright, so now I'm just going to show you what I was doing to make that happen. So like I said, you bring it up to your piece here, then you go and you bring it to where you're really close to the edge, and all you do is you slap it down. You want to make sure you watch it. And you go and you disengage, and then I like to pull this out, and then you go and you just bring this away from your material to where you have plenty of room, you're not going to bump your hands, and then now you can look at your piece. Now this is also, you can come look at this. This is also going to be a good opportunity to talk about surface finish. That right there is a very rough surface finish. It's not a very good surface finish. And that has to do with my RPMs, which is going to be how fast my chuck is spinning, and my depth of cut. So both of those were not optimal for a nice surface finish. Generally what you want to do is you want to have you want to have a slow feed rate, which is going to be how fast your carriage goes in and out, and then you also want to have a very light depth of cut, which is going to be how deep you cut the metal, and you want to, like I said, have fast RPM. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to speed up the RPM, I'm just going to adjust my depth of cut, and my all I did was adjust my feed rate and my depth of cut. So now my depth of cut is a very light pass, and then my feed rate is also the slowest it goes. So now you can come up here and you can see what it looks like, the difference after I'm done, after the pass is taken. You saw the cut, now you're going to come look at it up close. And as you can see, that's a lot better, 10 times better. You can't feel the ribbing with your hand. This is not the best kind of surface finish you can get, but it is a very good surface finish. So that's could be a whole another video, and there are videos dedicated to it on YouTube, but that's just a quick thing for now. So I think that's it, and we're going to hop into the outro. Okay, so this was episode 4. There was going to be one more episode just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, I always say this, just put them down in the comments. I'm perfectly fine with going over anything that you guys have questions over. I can make a full video dedicated to it. I hope this is helping people. I also want to say thank you to the new subscribers. I think I had 25 a day ago, and now I'm at like 32, which is pretty crazy. That it's actually happening. Like I said, the content is going to get better. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and have a nice day. Thank you.